Welcome everybody to the iOS News Sunday Paper Program. Bombs away is what they say in Israel nowadays. And if you live in the Gaza, stay out of the plazas, or UN schools, your homes, the beach, your cars, or you'll pay. If you don't hate us now, you probably will when you find out the bombs are from us. We're giving them away, for the Jews don't have to pay. As Congress says, $1 billion? Sure, no fuss. But a child's education or workers' compensation, we don't have money for either. And for your old folk, life's just a joke. Die, they say, you old wheezers. Speaking of wheezing, you won't find this pleasing, for in New York, cigarettes do kill. Not when you light them, in fact when you fight them, to avoid the NYPD chokehold. Here in Philly, it's not quite as chilly. We need you to smoke and to pay. An extra $2 tax on the price of a pack, so less teachers get put on layaway. And in the world of sports, it's twisted in sorts, as the NFL rules it's less harm to knock out your bitch, watch her squirm and twitch, than to smoke a doob and display a laid-back charm. These stories and more, including John Smarmy's Brown Eye on the World, John Rice's Getting Game, and Darren Martinez's movie reviews and what you should view, on tonight's edition of the I'm Only Serious News Network's Sunday Paper Program.
It's the I'm Only Serious News Network with Dan Mahan, John Smarmy, John Rice, Dave Morrow, and Darren Martinez.
In international news, Israel's war on the PLO is entering its fourth week as they continue to bomb the Gaza Strip from the land, air, and sea. As of this broadcast, over 2,000 Palestinian civilians, over half of them children, have been killed in this conflict. Israel says that the war will continue until all the tunnels leading from the Gaza into Israel are destroyed. These tunnels are what keeps local Israelis up at night worrying in their homes. In Gaza, the constant bombardment from the tanks and artillery on the ground, the fighter jets and drones above, and Navy ships at sea is what keeps them up at night. Where would you prefer to be? This whole war, as you know, was touched off when 3 dumbass Israeli teenagers were abducted and killed while hitchhiking home at 1 a.m. late one night. In the occupied territories, mind you. Of course, we live in a much better environment here in the USA, but if your teenager is stupid enough to be hitchhiking home late at night here, chances are they won't make it either. And now Israel is pissed that one of their soldiers may have been kidnapped by Hamas. When, after the teenagers were abducted, several hundred Palestinians were arrested by Israeli forces and detained. Plus a Palestinian teenager who was abducted and found dead was found to have been burned alive. Yikes. Meanwhile, the world's asking, what about the Ukraine? Well, luckily they're still in the news, just barely. While an international team of inspectors has finally begun the work of investigating the so-called crime scene, which is the wreckage of the Malaysian Air Flight 17, which was shot down by the Russian rebels over a month ago. So far, 200 of the 298 passengers have been removed and sent to Europe for identification. That leaves 98 still unaccounted for, though. The inspectors have been retrieving body parts to ship back home, and Germany has offered the services of Dr. Frankenstein the 14th to reassemble the remains and help to identify them. You go, guy. The Ruskies are still denying any role, of course, in this tragedy, while the U.S. and European Union level sanctions that have no bite. In fact, Vlad the Mad Putin has been seen coloring in the coloring book of European geography and finding it hard to stay in the lines. Heil Putin, as they say over there now. But for more on news internationally and locally and nationally and all around the world, I turn it over now to our own John Smarmy with his Brown Eye on the World. Smarmy?
Thanks, Dan. Hey, folks. Finally good to be back. Smarmy here. See what else we got going on here. Popular Fox show The Simpsons planning to kill off Krusty the Clown character the next season. I hope that show gets canceled. The writing's bad as, well, this show. Cancel it. John Hopkins, famous gynecologist doctor pervert, for using tiny button camera filming patients. He used a tiny penny camera to capture images of his patients. Some guys like crust on the cookie. Smarmy doesn't. That crust is no good. Whatever floats his boat. Waitress does unexpected after diners find cockroach in food. They waved her over, and she ate it. These goddamn Japs will eat anything. Did you know cockroach equals good carbohydrates in Japan? There's a smarmy fact for you folks. There's furniture designed to look and feel like human skin. So if you're a serial killer, this is the couch for you. Check it out in IKEA this fall. Former WWE champ Daniel Bryan catches burglar. Good for him. I wonder if he put him in a sleeper hold until the cops came. That move does work, by the way. You will go to sleep. If you don't believe me, ask that poor Negro that got choked to death by the cops. He's not afraid to talk. Whoop. We're getting the 5-second delay. I wasn't supposed to say that. Where's my headphones? Timmy Lie, where is he when you need him? He's on vacation still. Alright. Playboy model swallows swords. Some jokes write themselves. And finally, a sex toy has been stuck in a woman's vagina for 10 years. I bet when they took it out, it looked like that scene in the Alien movie. Folks, I've said too much. The lay's been hit. That was my brown eye of the world. Thank you for looking at my brown eye. Dan, what else is on the show? John Schmarmy, I'm only serious news.
Thanks, Smarmy. In fact, I have a story here about the New York MMA police officers. In New York City, the medical examiner has ruled the death of 43-year-old Eric Garner, the mastermind behind selling Lucy cigarettes, a homicide. His death was caused by the illegal chokehold administered by the NYPD's anti-smoking division cops. The NYPD is trying to put a positive spin on it by telling kids, you see, smoking does kill, even if you don't light up. Of course, if cigarettes in New York City didn't cost $11.50 per pack, maybe a father of 6 wouldn't have to sell a few Lucy's to enjoy a smoke now and then. And in Los Angeles, where water has been in a drought situation for him in biblical terms, folks, going on 7 years, millions of gallons came spilling out of a 100-year-old water main that had broke. In fact, the drought is so bad that people took that opportunity to run out and fill pails of water up while trying to avoid being shot by the police. I'm only serious. No one went out to fill the water up, but the police are shooting at them. In fact, in one LA County town, a homeowner was fined $500 for having let his lawn turn brown. Of course, that's still $500 less than the fine he would have received had he actually watered his lawn to begin with. Yeah, it's a win-win. In Kansas, an aging Labrador Retriever walked 30 miles back to its home to a family that had given it away. Now, an heiress to the Wrigley Gum fortune heard the story and sent a private jet to bring the dog to her Florida shelter, where the poor fellow began its 1,500-mile trek back home to Kansas. Congress has wrapped up its session and left the Capitol to begin their much-needed vacations. Yeah. In fact, Congress has approved the late-night expenditure prior to running off in this 6-week summer vacation they're so in need of. No, it wasn't a bill to get people back to good-paying jobs, nor a bill to extend unemployment benefits to those who run out of money in December. In fact, it wasn't even to provide money to bolster up our southern borders from the immigration crisis now going on. What then did they approve, you ask? $225 million to Israel to bolster their Iron Dome munitions stockpile. Now, we already provided the $700 million it took to cover the cost of the Iron Dome to begin with. All this, folks, on top of last week's $300 million to help them buy more bullets for the war on Gaza. Now, we are talking about Jews here, aren't we? Do you know a poor Jew? No, I don't. Are you cracker kidding me? Plus, the vote was done by voice only, so there'd be no record of who voted for what, just whether the A's sounded louder than the Na's. An earlier vote had stalled when Republican Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma sought to offset the costs with more cuts to Americans' needs. There you go. Way to go, Tommy boy. In fact, the only good news coming out of D.C. this past week was when a U.S. district judge ruled that the city's ban on openly carrying guns was unconstitutional. Can't wait to see when those hammerheads get back from their long summer vacation and see guns everywhere. Welcome to our world, you filthy animals. And finally, in national news, the VA has promised to clean up their act and has now started scheduling vets from the Korean War to get their first post-war checkups. Ooh, there we go. Congress did approve more finances to help vets out, but in keeping with their give something, take something back attitudes, they now plan on hiring Mexicans to fight any future battles. Si, senor. No doubt. On the local news scene, Mayor Nutterbutter has returned from his trip to Paris with his wife, Mrs. Nutterbutter, only to find that 6 of his narco cops have been charged with criminal activities, including witness intimidation, robbery, and drug dealing. In response to this news, the city agreed to a new contract terms with the FOP, giving the cops a 3+% raise for each of the next 3 years. In response to this, the fire department is considering sending out units to torch old warehouses and vacant homes in anticipation of their contract negotiations. And the sanitation department plans to have Ben and his furry little buddies helping their contract talks down the road as well. In fact, Mayor Nutterbutt is also facing a delay in opening Philly schools on time, as his anticipated cigarette tax did not get passed by the PA legislature prior to their 6-week summer vacation event. However, Governor Corbett did sign a bill that will lower the smoking age in Philadelphia to 12 years old. Not only does he hope to raise more money for Philly schools, but to also lower the amount of Democratic voters in years to come. Yeah, he looks at that as a win-win. And Philadelphia's premier comedy spot, the Helium Comedy Club, held their Philly's Funniest contest this past month. And the local guy, Matt McCusker, was voted the best local comic. Congrats to Matt. Very good job. His winnings include $1,000 in cash and a shot at being Philly's next mayor. That's how things are around here, folks. Now, before we move on, we got our very own John Rice giving us his gaming update for the week. And let's see what's on the gaming situation. John.
Thanks, Dan. And I'm back with some more video game stuff. This week I want to talk about Nintendo 3DS. It's Nintendo. Yeah. And that's it. No, I'm just playing. But no, it's kind of cool. It's a handheld video game system that has 2 screens and like a little touchpad and all that stuff. It's 3D, apparently, in the name. And they have an XL version, which, you know, is XL. It's bigger. But they have a lot of sweet games out. They're not that expensive, you know, not as much as, you know, the Wii U or the PlayStation or any of them. But we have like Mario Kart 7, because, you know, the first 6 were amazing. You got Mario Party, you got new Mario Brothers 1 and 2, you got, what do we got here? You got more Lego games. Lego Movie, Lego Batman 2, Lego City, Lego My Ego 2, Lego Marvel. You got Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, and Link Between Worlds. Get it? Link, because his name's Link. Yeah, I always thought, you know, Link was Zelda when I was a... Never mind, doesn't matter. We got Mario Luigi Dream Team. Don't really know what it is, but you can get their picture on a Nintendo thing, and it comes with the game. Yeah, interesting. You got Yoshi's New Island. Everything's new. It's great. Kingdom Hearts, not new, but it's a good game. You got Pokemon Y, Pokemon X, Pokemon Black, and Pokemon White. I guess that's pretty racist, but
Yeah, I'm not.
what if I want to play Pokemon Black? Am I allowed? Is that? Oh well. You got Star Fox 64. Remember that game, Star Fox 64 on 64? Well, now it's also on Nintendo 3DS. I wonder if it's 3D. If that makes sense. Well, it wouldn't be 64 then. It would be Star Fox 3D. Doesn't matter. And they're coming out with a new Smash Brothers, Super Smash Brothers 4, or Super Smash Brothers, whatever it's going to be called, for Wii U and also Nintendo 3DS. Some of the cool new characters are Pac-Man, Little Mac, which is Little Pac-Man, I guess it's, you know, small. You got Mega Man, That's kind of cool, and a whole bunch of the other game characters that I game in that are yeah on there. Look for that one. I think upcoming around October 2014. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna empty out my wallet some more. Yeah.
I guess Mr. Pac-Man, this Pac-Man, eventually you would have a little Pac-Man, right?
I know. Yeah, I didn't know his little Pac-Mans were swimming. You know. Apparently he's got some good Pac-Man swimmers.
He does more to eat.
Eating on it. Yeah. I wonder if this little ghost's gonna be in there. That'd be cool. And also, apparently in Smash Bros, you can play with your Wii character, like the little character you just make that's supposed to be you.
What do they call those things?
The Wii Me's or something? The Wii Nintendo Me? I have no idea.
Don't they have
Avatars.
Yeah, avatars. That's what I said before, yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Very cool.
But yes, check it out. And that's my game information for this week. Thanks, Dan. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Cool stuff. In sports, folks, the NFL has levied its suspension against Ray Rice. He got a 2-game suspension for beating the crap out of his wife, captured on video. Also, the football camps have opened up, and I was at the Eagles camp today, and I brought some fans back with us to the studio tonight, and so far, so good.
Yeah!
Pittsburgh!
But as far as suspension went, Ray Rice calls his now wife, his former fiance, an angel during his press conference explaining about what happened that night. And it pretty much makes him the first human being to ever knock out an angel.
Oh!
Of course, the iOS News, through our own investigative reporting, was able to get a hold of his true thoughts prior to this press conference, in which he was first wanting to say, first of all, that bitch is crazy. He was later in his speech, he had written down that he almost didn't marry her after finding out she couldn't take a punch.
Oh!
Bitch be crazy.
Buy a hoagie.
As for counseling, he stated he now hits the gym at least once a week to get sparring in with someone who actually has a chin. Yeah.
Nah.
Meanwhile, in Cleveland, their wide receiver, Josh Jordan, received a 1-year suspension for smoking weed. Yeah.
Hey! Oh!
It's a shame he didn't just beat up on some smart mouth fiance. Knocked that shit out. You know, missed 2 games.
Get it?
The NFL is now 3 weeks into their summer training camps, with the Eagles expressing hopes of a Super Bowl run.
Eagles!
Of course, they're also scheduled to do a Geico commercial with that piglet as he attempts to fly this time.
Whoa!
Hey. The Phillies made no moves at the trade deadline, as GM Ruben Amaro thinks they have the nucleus for a run at the World Series next year.
Boo! Boo!
He too will be in that upcoming Geico commercial playing the role of the pilot. Yeah, as pigs fly.
Bacon.
That's it for my sports segment. Now we're going to bring in our very own Darren Martinez and his views and reviews of movies you might want to watch or see.
Yeah!
I saw a movie this weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy. It was very, very fun. I recommend everyone go check this out. It was like one of those movies that, like, the way I would describe it is one of those movies that you can just lay back on a Saturday night, like lay on your couch, just throw anything on, you know, and just relax. And, you know, it's one of those movies, like, you could just watch it over and over again. Just a lot of fun, you know. It's like, it's not involved at all. Like, it doesn't get too dramatic. It takes itself very lightly. And I think it's like more of a comedy than like an actual like you know, most of the films always try to get too dramatic and, you know, just have these huge sob stories. Well, this one didn't kind of go that route with any. Well, it started off actually very dramatic, but then after that it was just completely like just didn't really take itself serious, you know. So
Is it a comic book?
yeah, it's a comic book. Yeah, it's
Okay.
based off a comic book, very popular comic book series.
Or at least just regular people who...
It's a group of 5 characters that are comprised of like kind of like rebels. They're all kind of, you know, bad guys in a sense, rebels and anti-heroes that come together, you know, through a few events, and you know, just it was very fun. I don't want to say too much because I feel like since I just saw it, I might give away too much to the audience that will watch this and, you know, haven't seen the film yet. But since I saw it and I thought it was such a fun film, funny film in space, Well, what's funnier than Spaceballs? That's, I think, that's one of the funniest films in space, right? We can all agree, right? Smarmy, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
Plus you have the late John Candy in there.
Yeah, that's right. One of the best ever. And Rick Moranis and John Candy. Real strange story about them. I don't know if you know this, right? But before Rick Moranis took that role in Ghostbusters, that was going to go to John Candy.
Is that right?
Yeah, but he didn't understand the role, didn't want to be a part of it, and so Rick Moranis got the role. Eventually, he was perfect for it,
Yeah, he was good at it.
and that was
I
that.
couldn't see John Candy in that role.
Yeah, actually, now that Rick Moranis played that role. But next week, Guardians of the Galaxy, they've got it kind of tough because they had a huge weekend. I think they might make 90, maybe 95 million opening weekend. But next weekend, you got the Ninja Turtles coming out. The new Ninja Turtles live-action
yeah.
film, CGI, Michael Bay.
My grandson can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see it either. And so, you know, we'll see how much that does. And
Now this is their first like live character movie for them, right?
well, since the third one, the third live-action film, but that one was kind of like a B film, like a B version of the Ninja Turtles. So that's why I'm going to recommend you guys go check out Ninja Turtles Part 2, Secret of the Ooze. Because this was their second. I mean, it's a lot cheesier than the first one, but it's not as cheesy as the third one. So watch this, and then next week go watch the new Ninja Turtles, and then, you know, create some opinions, have fun, do whatever you want. But you know me, Dan, I'm a huge Disney fan, huge Disney nut. And another thing about me is I love Pirates of the Caribbean.
Me too. I like that.
I love them. I want to be in it. Seriously, I want to be in the fifth one. And rumor is they're finally going forth with the fifth one. Dead Men Tell No Tales. And because of that, I want to recommend everyone go check out the fourth one. Because, you know, you want to catch up on all of them.
I didn't even know there was.
Yeah, the fourth one, there's mermaids in there. And it's
Did
actually...
that go to theaters or that just?
Yeah, no, it was in the theaters, did very well, and that's why there's going to be a fifth one. So, those are my 3 recommendations. Guardians of the Galaxy, fun, go check it out. Ninja Turtles, go check that out, so that me and you can share opinions. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you, Darren. I myself am looking forward to Bambi 2. Yeah, when that little guy goes crazy. But I think they did that with that Lucy movie, right? Lucy. Bambi. Anyway, we have our the final segment of the evening, and we welcome him back after a bit of a hiatus. Our very own Dave Ron Morrow and his Mystic Minute. Dave?
Yes, thank you, Dan. I'd like to formally announce, after my hiatus, that it is simply Ron Morrow from here on out. You see, after Ron's recent outburst a few weeks ago on the studio, escaping from my containment, certain publishing representatives of mine advised me to drop Ron entirely. Now you see, as was proven in his most recent attempt at an escape, I am the only one who can contain Ron. For me to deny that part of myself is to deny who I really am. And you see, this is a burden that I must carry myself. And I find it best that rather than to turn my back on my alter ego. Really, why would you do that? I'm the best friend you've got, right? I'm like I'm just a barrel of fun. I don't know why these publishing weirdos have a problem with me and Dave hanging out, but it doesn't matter. You see, me and Dave, we cleared things up. Now it's just Ron. Now we're all Ron. We can all be Ron. You all had a little taste of the fun, a little bit of the magic that it feels like to be me. So, I wouldn't worry too much about hearing anything from Dave Ron Morrow. I've heard the things that you say in the hallways. I've heard the things that all of you think that you know. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
We're still working on the balance there, but hopefully from here on out, me and Ron will be able to reach a balance, which I think all of you at home should seek to do with your own darker halves. Just take a moment every day and just focus. Just breathe in deep breaths, big deep breaths, all the way down. And visualize this other, visualize this shadow that you carry around with you as you do so. Just
then shake your shadow's hand. You know, go out, grab a drink together somewhere. You know, walk with your shadow as your shadow walks with you all the time, and maybe all of us can find a little bit of peace. That is it for me, Ron Morrow, and my Mystic Minute. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Morrow brothers. I guess everybody does have a dark side. But as you can see, sometimes it's better left alone. I'm only serious. Well, that about wraps it up for us for this week's edition of the I'm Only Serious News Network Sunday Paper program. Thank you for listening and watching, and hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you all next week. Right here. at the I'm Only Serious News Network.
Iowa's green tea.